didn't see you. I don't want to be seen.
We can't smell you. You can't tell
All
me
right,
barn clothes on.
We are now live.
Hey, I got cleaned up first.
All right, I will call the Wyoming County Industrial Development Agency meeting to order. And I think we should start with a roll call. I'm Mark Dadd. I'm here. Rebecca Ryan,
Becky Ryan's here, yes.
Sandy Purdy,
Sandy Purdy is here, yes.
Joe Gazelski.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Tom McCormick is not here, I understand. Is that correct, Mr. Pierce? Mr. Pierce, can you hear me? No.
But you are correct, Chairman.
Jim Pierce, can you hear Mark Dadd?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Doug
Yes.
Berwanger? Is he?
Yes,
Okay.
here.
Okay. All right.
I'm right here with my uncle.
I won't ask you where you actually are. All right, Kevin Zahner is here, I see. Robin?
Yep.
Jennifer?
Yep.
Mr. Daly? And am I missing anyone?
Yes,
Jim Hardy.
Oh, Jim Hardy, I'm sorry, Jim.
that's all right, Mark, I understand.
Okay. All right, and I guess we're all set to go. Our first item is review and approval of the March 19th meeting minutes, which everybody has had, I think, for some time. Does anybody have any comment or discussion on those minutes? If not, I will entertain a motion that they be approved as submitted. And for this meeting, as we did in the last meeting, I will simply ask if any member opposes the motion. If I hear no opposition, I will just declare it approved. Is there any opposition to a motion to approve the minutes from for the March 19th meeting? Hearing none, the motion is granted. Okay. Our next step is our usual review of the finances, and I'll ask Robin to highlight anything that she thinks is out of the ordinary.
Okay, because we didn't have a meeting in April, I've included March's financials, the cash on hand report, but I'll just highlight quickly from March. We paid out the Stony Creek and the High Sheldon Wind pilot payments that come in every year, and we disperse them to the jurisdictions. And then other than that, I'll skip over to the April financials. We started out the month with $637,458 cash on hand and $2,122,865 invested fund balance. We brought in a little interest on our CDs and some bank interest earned. And we had our normal monthly expenses. It shows the auditing expense as we did finish the audit up, and Kathy Barrett had presented the financials at the last meeting that we had. And we ended up the month with $586,989 in cash on hand and $2,126,000 in invested funds.
Okay. Any questions or discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the financial statement as presented.
I'll make
move
a motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second,
All right, is there any opposition to this motion? If not, the motion is approved. Our next item is project updates. And I assume you're going to do that, Mr. Pierce?
Yes, I'm sharing a document on the screen. Can folks see it?
Yes.
All right, I'm gonna tie this project update in with the executive director's report. So the first project is JC Equipment, the former Broder Machine Building in South Warsaw. If you've driven by there recently, you will see that he is clearing the lot and he has started demolishing the building. So the project agreement has been forwarded to him. Once we get that back, we can execute the rest of the agreements for his inducements. Java Energy, the project, I have not heard back from the company in a while, but it was still moving forward last we knew. Orangeville Energy, I checked in with them. They are still moving forward with their project, but they have been sent the agreement and resolution and have not gotten that back to us yet. Duke Energy, they have the project agreement resolution were reviewed. They sent it back to our council, and Kevin and I discussed it this week. And we're going to get back with them on that and get that project moving forward as well. Delaware River is the project in Pike. They still not have any community host agreements in place. Hidden Valley, the lease pilot new barn construction project is on hold. As you might realize, the COVID has really caused some significant hardship to Hidden Valley's Animal Adventures ability to operate, even when they can reopen. Dream Lake Campground is still moving forward with their expansion project. We do have an application in hand from them, but they still need to go through their permitting process and the secret process. The Steel Avenue Arcade Hotel project, I did got an email from these folks. We swapped emails this past week. They are hit hard by the COVID virus and pandemic, and they're trying to work to nail down their financing issues for putting the project together. They still have not yet signed the final land sale agreement and gotten that to us, however. Indus
Jim,
is,
Jim, if I
Jim,
could.
can I ask you a couple?
I don't know who else had questions. I just like to add that I think we may have discussed it at the last meeting, but they have until literally to close the business on December 31st of 2021 to sign the agreements with the IDA to avoid the prevailing wage on construction. So we still have all of this year and all of next year, but there is a time limit. It's just not going to put any, real sense of urgency on them.
That was my question. One of my questions. Jim, the other question is, what's Dream Lake? Where is that?
In
that's
Warsaw.
in the town of Warsaw. It used to be the KOA campgrounds up. Yep. So up on just off of Black Hill Road.
Buffalo Hill.
Black House. No.
Black
it's,
House?
Yeah, Old
Okay.
Buffalo Road. Yeah,
Old Buffalo.
yeah.
Oh, okay. I know where it is. All right. I got
Yep.
it. Okay. Thanks.
What are they going to do there, Jim, roughly? Just,
Their plan is to put in some additional camping sites. They want to add about 45 of them, and right now they have a waiting list of seasonal campers of 85 people.
Wow.
Is that a big lake?
I don't know.
pardon?
Can't see it from the road.
Well, there's you can see a little bit of the water if it's the same place we're all talking about, but you would never dream there would be
Yeah.
that many, you wouldn't dream there were that many campsites in there.
Yeah, it goes quite a ways back in there.
How big is that lake, Jim? Is that a 50-acre lake? I got no idea.
No, the water, the ponds are not that big. but they are putting a 1 acre pond in as part of this project.
Okay, Jim, you want to proceed?
The API heat transfer over in Arcade, they got their CDBG monies from us, so they're all set. Hidden Valley was also coming in for a loan. That obviously is on hold now. The Dream Lake Campground was going to be is going to be a $200,000 loan. We were doing that in partnership with Community Bank, Steuben Bank in Warsaw. The CFA application that we were hoping to do for $200,000 for micro enterprise program, I haven't seen any announcements from the state that they're going to roll out any CFA funding at this point. Under the business center, just to give you an update on what's going on there, that we administer that, as you know, we have 3 loans that we have approved but not yet closed. One is the Sam's Restaurant, which is the building right next to the Silver Lake Family Restaurant that they're going to convert into a catering business. Max's Bakery is a very wholesale baker that's based in Fillmore, and they're going to set up a baking operation and do retail baking in Perry on Main Street. Their loan's been approved, but everything has been kind of shut down because of the COVID thing. And just this, within the last 2 weeks, we approved a loan for Datum Works LLC, one of our fast track graduates who is starting a CNC consulting business, and we're getting close to being ready to close on that loan. The other thing that the business center did was we put in place what's called a Restart Wyoming loan program, where we set aside $200,000 where business can apply for a loan from anywhere from $1,000 to $10,000. And the primary purpose of this is to get capital in the hands of businesses so they can prepare to reopen. We firmly believe that there's not going to be a lot of capital when these businesses are finally ready to open. So we rolled that out on Friday, and I already have 3 applications in hand on that. The MK site, I'm going to skip over because it's on the agenda a little farther down. The fast track program we had to shut down because of COVID. We're going to move that to September 1st to the fall cycle and start up again in the fall. And that's about it. I would present that as the project update in my executive director's report.
Okay. Mr. Daly, do you have a special project report?
Yep, real quick. We've been working with Induce on the Microtel to get so they can close out the $1 million Restore New York grant we got for them. And we've been working with Casey Remmer. She's in charge of all loans and grants for Empire State Development out of Rochester for the Finger Lakes. And anyhow, as of probably an hour ago, all the information she needs is in. That was stuff from the village, stuff from Induce, and the final bit of information Jet Meta got to her. So what that means is she'll prepare it. Empire State Development will have a meeting on July 15th. And the hotel, by the way, is going to open June 12th. That's the date that he's sticking to right now, is June 12th. Not a grand opening, what they call a soft opening, and he'll do like a grand opening ribbon cutting in the fall. Anyhow, the board of directors of ESD review it in July. Then there's it's either going to be a public hearing or public comments, depending on COVID-19 and where that takes us. And then I can't remember the name of the voting entity. Maybe Kevin can think of it. But anyhow, they give a final vote. It's like a public authorities kind of. I can't think of the name. But anyhow, they give the final vote, and then they would do the disbursement agreements in August. So they should get their money the end of August, 1st of September. So that they're very happy. Glad to see that at that stage. Census, remember I talked about getting $70,000 census grant. The state hasn't given anybody one dime of it. Even though they increased it from 20 million in the budget to 30 million, not one dime of that money has been spent anywhere. And the state's not having a great response. There was a major screw up in the areas where people have post office boxes as opposed to just getting their mail at their homes. That has cut the response in all the rural counties in New York State. And they're trying to get that resolved. I had got Matt Sertel to do an article yesterday on the census, and the Courier and Perry Herald and the Arcade Herald, they're all promising to write something about how to make sure you register for the census. The Marquarts, some of you know this, some of you don't. The governor came out with another bunch of money to attach to round 17 of the purchase of development rights through New York State Ag and Markets. And our Ag and Farmland Protection Board, we have everybody ranked because we do a very detailed scoring system. And Genesee Valley Conservancy called and said, gee, we think Marquarts might fit the bill. And sure enough, the other day, New York State Ag and Markets, with the good work of Genesee Valley Conservancy, awarded Marquarts $2 million for the purchase of development rights on their acreage. So that's a big deal. The last thing, Alexa just picked up on my, you hear, that's Alexa talking in the background on my Echo device. Anyhow, Jim and I are on the Restart Wyoming task force. So is Becky. And we've had a meeting, and we're trying to look at how to get businesses, everything back going. I've been serving on the one for the New York State Planning Association call-ins that we just kind of spontaneously did on our own. And we got them from, and believe me, Wyoming County is not trailing anybody. It's everybody's doing this by the seat of their pants, trying to, I mean, there were some counties I don't think are as advanced as Wyoming County as far as the response to COVID and, you know, opening of buildings and getting staffing done right. And we've certainly done that, but now we're on to putting together how to assist business and get the county open again for business. That's it.
All right, is there any further business? I think you wanted to talk about MK, is that right, Jim?
I did. Item number 6, and I want to pull a document up and show that to you folks. The business center has been working on conducting a remedial investigation or assessment on the property. Here's an executive summary of the findings of the MK property and Arcade, the bulleted items. Essentially, what we have is a demolition debris with asbestos mixed in with the debris. This was caused by the contractor that was taking down buildings without the proper demolition permits. So that was one item that was found. There's unknown fill material. There are 4 unregistered underground petroleum tanks that still have product in them that range from sizes of 500 to 4,000 gallons. Those tanks have migrated into the surrounding soil, and they've also contaminated the groundwater. So in general, there's some other things like arsenic and lead and mercury. You find that with any industrial sites. They're not extremely high. They're just slightly above the level they like to see for any sort of residential redevelopment. So in general, those were the findings, and those were the findings that we hoped we would find for the business center, because we wanted to try to identify this as a brownfield eligible project. That was our goal from the beginning. So here's the recommendations from Labella on moving forward. There's suggesting that the business center retain the temporary incidence of ownership on the property. And also, so we can get in there and do other things as needed. And they're suggesting that we hold a pre-application meeting with New York State Department, DEC, and Labella, so we can talk about the eligibility of this site for the brownfield cleanup program. After we have this meeting and we determined with the DEC that it indeed could be a brownfield eligible project, we're then going to go out and RFP and try to find brownfield developers that are interested in taking on this property and finishing the demolition work and bringing this property back into redevelopment. So I know this particular project is not on the IDA's agenda or is any part of our mission, but it is a project that we're involved with through our administrative function with the business center. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
How long or big is the whole report, Jim? Is it a multiple?
168 pages.
Okay. You kind of wore my printer out with a Boxer application, so I would like to get a copy. I am required to file that with the court. And, you know, we now have electronic filing, plus the courts are pretty much shuttered. So it's going to be working, well, it's going to be a adventure trying to comply with that order. But I don't know if you have multiple copies of this document or can we scan it?
It's in surgery. Oh, yeah. Anywhere.
I have it in electronic form and can send it to you and however you want to present it, but.
Well, don't do it yet. I have to figure out how I can get it to the court because everything's e-filing now.
So as part of the report, this is the last page I was going to share with the board. This is a estimate of demolition and remediation. It's approximately $2 million, but it's really a shot in the dark because if you get down here on the very bottom of this estimate, it shows that it has a number 8. There's a preliminary nature and has an accuracy of plus or minus 50%.
Oh, geez. That'll keep you guessing, Jim.
So good behalf of that.
Jim,
Yes.
Jim, that just about 2 million, help me out unless I missed the boat. Is a lot of that due to environmental or hazardous waste, anything of that nature? Is that the reason for the 2 million? Somewhat.
Yeah. There's a breakdown. I'll put it back up there, Joe. There's a breakdown of the cost. The biggest cost is the soil covering systems as well as the demolition part of the project.
Okay, I can't quite read it. That's
Yeah.
bad.
We can print it off.
I asked this, I can't quite read it, the print small, my fault, Jim. And
I'll send you a copy of it, Joe.
thank you.
But in any event, this would be something financed by the person who undertook to do the brownfield thing, correct?
Correct. And so the DEC, once we discovered there were petroleum tanks on the site, we had to notify the DEC. So this is on a spill site list with the DEC. And the first thing they're going to do and have been trying to do is reach out to the Kravitz family to make them responsible for the cost of cleaning up that petroleum area.
Good.
From what I understand, that's not feasible.
Right.
Jim, have you had any preliminary conversation with like a Peter Krogh who specializes in, they always are looking for those sites, but that's a lot of money. That could be $3 million by the time you're done with that. So, but have you had any conversation with Peter or anybody like Peter on this?
Yeah, I have had conversations with Peter Crow right from the beginning of this project, so he's aware of it. And he's the one actually that told me, if you're gonna market this to a brownfield developer, you gotta find out what's there, and that's what we did.
Right, right. But Peter specific, has anybody else looked at it besides Pete?
Not yet, because we gotta determine if it's eligible for the brownfield program.
All right, yeah, naturally.
So where do we go from here?
What I would like to do, when the contractor was in there running around and without a proper permit and caused some of that contamination, there was because of he didn't have a permit, the county engaged a environmental study and came in and did some testing and found out there was asbestos in that construction debris. I want to present this report to the planning committee of the board of supervisors. And once they have all the information, I want to then go to Department of Labor and DEC and start the process with not only telling Department of Labor what we have found there from an asbestos standpoint, but then begin working with DEC on the eligibility for the brownfield program.
You don't need any authorization from this board, do you?
No, sir. This was just an FYI report.
Okay. Any further discussion? Any further business for the IDA today?
Judge, or Chairman, I just have one question. Back to the, and I apologize, I didn't hear on item 2A, the minutes, I didn't hear who made the first motion and seconded it. I know you said we just anonymously approve it, but I wasn't sure, or unanimously approved, but I wasn't sure who made the motion, if anybody made the motion to approve the minutes.
There wasn't a motion. He spoke, if there was nobody against it, he approves it passed.
So just an
Correct, Chairman?
unanimous approval?
I got the horse ahead of the cart, Joe, but I think we could go back if you're willing to make that motion and repair the damage.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, yeah,
How about a second?
make the motion.
I'll help him. Jim Hardy.
Joe and Jim.
Is there any
okay.
opposition to the motion? If not, the motion is approved.
Thank you.
Thanks for bringing that to our attention, or my attention.
you.
Anyway. All right, our next meeting is scheduled June 11th at 2:30. And I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second, Doug Burweimer.
All right. Is anybody opposed? If not, the motion is granted.
Okay. All right, Mr. Chairman, just allow me a few minutes while we unplug the YouTube video, and then we'll start it back up for the BAC.
Thank you.